Good evening. I'm Larry Barker, KOAT TV's investigative reporter. For more than 20 years, it has been my pleasure to work with Bill Dixon, an outstanding lawyer, scholar, and good friend. When you are a journalist and need a good lawyer, Bill Dixon's number is on everyone's speed dial, and Bill has lived up to his reputation, effectively representing the interests of KOAT TV, as well as the Albuquerque Journal and the Foundation for Open Government, on a variety of First Amendment issues. He has done so with remarkable intellect, passion, and with an eloquence that has left an indelible impression on those who have seen him in action. For those of us who know Bill well, we can think of no better way of honoring Bill Dixon than to name the Foundation for Open Government Awards after him. His contributions to the First Amendment are compelling. It is a legacy unequaled by anyone in the state. While Bill modestly remarks he is simply a foot soldier in fighting battles for public access, he has clearly been a general when it comes to fighting for our First Amendment freedoms. Tonight, we have the pleasure of hearing from this man who many regard as one of the most knowledgeable First Amendment scholars in this country.
The First Amendment has acute significance for any constitutional democracy for two reasons. Number one, it creates a barrier against government from prohibiting the press from printing information which the press already has in its possession. Classic case being the Pentagon Papers, where the assumption behind the First Amendment is that we do not trust the government to ration or allocate information throughout our society. We trust the people, and the press is a surrogate for the people. But it has another function, the right to acquire information. That is, it means very little, and indeed is a hollow right, to be able to publish when you don't have anything worthwhile publishing. And I think Madison put this most articulately during the Constitutional Convention. A public citizenry without public information or the means to acquire it is a prologue to farce or tragedy or both. And so one of the major battles under the First Amendment has been the burgeoning or the growing right to be able to acquire information that is meaningful to discussion of public issues.
Bill Dixon has made many significant contributions to our basic First Amendment rights in New Mexico. Yet his understanding of the importance of public access and how that relates to the First Amendment is perhaps among his most compelling contributions to our democracy.
Bill likes to talk about how the Foundation for Open Government has democratized the free flow of information in the state of New Mexico, and to a certain extent, Bill is very modest, because in reality, I think Bill Dixon has been the one who's truly democratized the free flow of information in this state. He's been willing to take on governmental entities, been able to go before judges and speak very eloquently and articulately about First Amendment principles. And in doing so, he's done the First Amendment a tremendous amount of good that will last for a very long, long time in this state.
To me, it is the height of arrogance for government, any government, to tell people, we know better about what kind of information you deserve to get. That is, we're going to tell you what's important and what's not important. And we're going to tell you what's trivial and what's not trivial. Those kinds of decisions about what is important and what is unimportant with respect to public information is the very essence of democracy. We get to make that decision.
Bill Dixon's colleagues and those who have worked closely with him over the years have a true appreciation of Bill's awesome accomplishments as a lawyer.
There's his unquestioned and almost scary intellect. When Bill Dixon is in the courtroom, Bill Dixon is the best lawyer there. He knows the most, he's the best prepared. There's a sense of compassion. Our firm is normally considered to be a defense law firm. Bill has always brought a sense of compassion and a sense of emotion to our practice of law. It's because of Bill that our firm does plaintiff civil rights work, and it's because of Bill only. And lastly, I think anyone who knows Bill would have to tell you, it's because of his sense of humor.
The real people who started FOG were Kent Walls of the Journal, Tom Lang, and Bob Johnson. I think we have to give primary credit for the idea to Kent because of his experience with dealing with access to public records. That, to my recollection, he was the one who came up with the idea of a non-media. It wouldn't be just a media group, it would be an umbrella group that would include people like ComCause and other citizens groups who don't have an axe to grind in terms of media versus the government. It would be broader than that. And I believe it was his idea that which he took to Tom Lang, and between the two of them, they started a fire that now has become the organization.
Okay.
And then with Bob Johnson being the executive director, here you have a man who is a tremendously experienced newsman and who is an ex-Marine who doesn't take no for an answer. The driving force really was the notion that when it comes to access to public information and public records and information in those public records, that the information doesn't have to pay its way. And by that I mean there doesn't have to be a utilitarian justification. That is, when a citizen goes in and says, I would like to see the settlement that you entered into with the policeman who beat up a young lady in a jail in Ruidoso. I want to see that settlement agreement. That the citizen doesn't have to justify that request because of any utilitarian or practical reason.
I think there's an enormous significance for naming this award after Bill Dixon. For almost a generation of students who came through the University of New Mexico Law School, there was only one person associated with the First Amendment, and that was Bill Dixon. Bill is known as the lawyer you can call to get an answer and a clear direction as to where to go.
I was very fortunate to be one of Bill Dixon's students back at the UNM Law School. Truly, it was a class that I looked forward to going to. It was a class where I would hang on his every word. It was a class where, you know, by the end of the class, someone was pounding their fist on the table or yelling or screaming or making their point. But it was really a tribute to Bill that he was able to teach us the First Amendment in such a way that he grabbed our interest. It was his ability to convey the importance of what he was teaching with a compassion and intellect that really was very unique.
Of all the amendments, the First Amendment has fared the best in the Supreme Court. It is perceived by the court as being first for a reason, and that is because it's the indispensable precondition to the effective functioning of a democracy.
Journalists and citizens alike have been fortunate to have Bill Dixon on their side. His intelligence, great wit, and ability to convey the importance of public access have accomplished just what the forefathers of this country wanted when they drafted the Bill of Rights. Bill, we applaud you for all that you have done. Keep fighting the good fight.
When I got into private practice, I tried to orient my practice toward things that involve the First Amendment, like libel and slander, invasion of privacy, and these media issues. It seemed to me that when you look back at history, you saw that the times that we should probably be most ashamed of ourselves as a country were times where we dispense with the guarantees of the First Amendment when government commanded us to. And it just seemed to me that that was a cause worth fighting for. And you pick your hobby horse, that was mine.